The Phoenix Suns just finessed the whole of the NBA. Why? Because they managed to acquire Bradley Beal. Yes, that's right. Kevin Durant has formed another super team. Earlier today, it was reported that the Phoenix Suns would be trading Chris Paul to the Washington Wizards in return for Bradley Beal. Now, this ends Chris Paul's tenure in Phoenix, which honestly, if you look back on it, it was successful. He came in 2020 and I had a lot of high hopes for him. The year that he came to Phoenix, I predicted that they were going to go to the finals, and they did. But this move immediately makes the Phoenix Suns better, right? And the reason the Phoenix Suns finessed everyone is because Bradley Beal was a highly coveted player around the league. There's a lot of teams that were really, really after him. The Miami Heat were looking into trading for him. There were talks that LeBron James and Anthony Davis liked him. They wanted him on the Lakers. The New York Knicks, of course, they were in a mix, right? Boston Celtics have been making calls and taking calls. He was someone that was very coveted. He's a great player, but not only that, he's just a great guy to be around. A lot of the players in the NBA like his company, right? The Golden State Warriors were even looking into getting him, but it was the Phoenix Suns that managed to land him. And good for the Phoenix Suns. I think they've improved right off the bat. They are better today than they were yesterday, and I'm going to get into why later. I've been seeing people on Twitter, on YouTube, on other social media platforms saying that this was a bad trade. This makes the Phoenix Suns worse. They are wrong. This makes the Phoenix Suns better than what they were yesterday. The reason being Chris Paul. Chris Paul's old, right? Chris Paul is going to be 38 by the time the next season starts. And while LeBron can play at a high level at 38, not everyone can do that. So Chris Paul is not going to be able to do that. Chris Paul has been declining ever since the Phoenix Suns reached the finals 2 years ago. And when you look at the numbers, right now, pound for pound, Bradley Beal is better than Chris Paul. He averages 10 more points than Chris Paul does. He's way younger than Chris Paul is. He's going to be an asset for the Phoenix Suns longer than Chris Paul could have ever been, right? And also, the thing is, he's less injury prone, right? You can actually count on him to be there to play. And that's been one of the knocks on Chris Paul for me personally, because I've been following Chris Paul's career ever since he was in Los Angeles, and more closely when he got to Houston. When he got to Houston and he was playing with James Harden, and they had that chance to go to the NBA Finals by beating the Golden State Warriors in 2018 on that really good Rockets team, what stopped them from making that jump? Injuries. Chris Paul's injuries has been a curse for him. It's been so detrimental for him, and this year was the same story. The Phoenix Suns, when they went up against the Denver Nuggets, granted the Denver Nuggets this year they were extremely good this year, right? But when the Phoenix Suns went up against them in the second round, the Suns got 2 games off of the Denver Nuggets. And when they needed someone else to step up, right? Like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, but mainly Devin Booker played his heart out, and Kevin Durant came along for the ride, but they needed someone else, an extra guy. And the Chris Paul of old, the Chris Paul that was in Houston or in OKC, would have been perfect. He would have made the Phoenix Suns this year in the playoffs a little bit more formidable. But he wasn't there when they needed him most. Why? Because of the same old reason, injuries. When the Houston Rockets were on the verge of eliminating the Golden State Warriors in Game 7 in 2018, and they missed 27 straight three-pointers, and they could have really used someone like Chris Paul to lead them, to make extra shots. Where was he? He was injured. He got injured in Game 6 of that series, and the Houston Rockets ended up losing. It's the same thing that happened this year again. So right off the bat, right there, those are 3 reasons why the Phoenix Suns automatically got better. They actually have someone that they can count on that is going to be able to score points, is going to be able to actually play games. They have someone who actually averages more points than Chris Paul does. He gives you more than Chris Paul does at this point in his career. And they have someone who's younger, who's going to be there for a while, right? So they're just better. It's great for the Phoenix Suns, but there are downsides. The downside to this trade is Bradley Beal's massive contract that he's on. Bradley Beal, the contract that he got, it kind of resembles the kind of contract that Russell Westbrook was on. You guys know Russell Westbrook had one of the worst contracts in the NBA. Same with John Wall. Well, Bradley Beal is kind of up there, but he's different from those two because right now he's better than any of them, right? He's better basketball player than Russell Westbrook is, and he's not injury prone like John Wall was. So he's actually able to produce value for the amount that he's being paid.